This week I learned that trying to fight off a reading slump while recovering from the virus that shall not be named, not optimal. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update as we're headed up towards the end of March here. Another month that just seems to be zipping by. Maybe we're almost done with the first quarter of this year. It's wild. It has just been a venture so far, and it's been a struggle for a few things. Did recover from the virus that shall not be named. Thankfully, I didn't get a really bad one. I don't think. I was really, just like those first 24 hours were really bad. Then it was just a lot of tired, some fatigue. But you know what? At this age, I don't really need any assistance to kind of fill the fatigue. But, it is still kind of dipping into my reading time here as I am kind of, I guess you say a reading slump is in full swing because it has been kind of rough for me to string any real progress together. Not just because, like I said, that, you feel like you're just always tired, always wanting to fall asleep. I just think I'm starting to get one of those reading slumps. You get them. I think I need to switch genres or something here. But we'll kind of get into that as we go along here. Let's begin, guys, by talking about what am I reading. I did finish, it's underneath something else, I did finish Stones of Light. It's book 2 in Threadlight here by ℓ𝕬𝕒𝕠𝕟. Liked it. It was a little different than the first book, and I think that was a good thing because I really liked the first book. This one, I felt like I got more answers to what the deal is with ℚ𝕬𝕒𝕠𝕟, because in the first book, it was like ℚ𝕬𝕒𝕠𝕟 was just the most confusing character. I think he might have introduced him just a little too late. This one, I feel like it kind of takes center stage. Laurel kind of takes a step back in this one, but I feel like you get more of other characters like Uriel and things like that, which I really did enjoy. But I like where he's headed. It doesn't really have a problem with struggling with the middle book or anything like that, like you tend to get sometimes in a lot of trilogies. But I feel like he set up a lot of stuff with Chris and the Apogee, which I'm very excited to see about how that does play out, because it's interesting. It has not gone the way I thought it would go at all with Chris in this book, in this series, really. And I'm curious to see how he does wrap it up and to see if he can give me some of those answers. I did have some theories when I first started reading. I actually hit Zach on Twitter and told him what some of my theories were. And he's like, you'll find out about that in book 3. And we're going to see if I was even anywhere close to it. But I'm enjoying my time there, even if, like I said, I am kind of hitting a little bit of fantasy burnout, I think. But I did really enjoy what he has presented so far, and I can't wait for the conclusion here rather soon. And guys, I did start Priest of Lies, which is book 2 in the War for the Roadstone. It's picked up right where the last one left off, and that's really all I could have asked for with this series. It's one of those where, like, the first dozen or so chapters is like, okay, so what's the storyline going to be for this one? Oh, I see. So it is a lot of Thomas and the Pious Men kind of, expanding their territory, I guess. Him kind of trying to come to terms with, I guess you say his partner in crime, and I'm not talking about Bloody Ann, I'm talking about Elsa. I think it's one of those where he's like, and it's about the devil but maybe I know too many devils, I think. I don't know. He's actually like, Thomas, I wouldn't call him a good guy. I mean, there's lines that even he won't cross. But it's not, again, a grimdark series. It's not a thing that I feel like you would say these are good guys at all. But even he's taking a step by being like, yeah, this person is seriously like evil incarnate, and I'm curious to see how he does kind of resolve that. But I think with me, the stuff in this book that I'm the most interested in is Billy. I want to know so much more about Billy. I want to understand the power levels, the magic in this world, how it actually makes everything tick, because it's had some things that have just been like, what in the world? There was an assassination scene early in this book that like completely blew me away. Really, really great stuff. So I'm really enjoying where I'm at. I'm only, on chapter 14, so I'm not that far into it. But if it's anything, like I said, like the first book, I'm going to probably blow through it here in a couple of days. I think. I don't know. Like I said, I am kind of struggling right now, and I think that's just going to be something I'm going to have to do. What I usually do is I'll just switch genres and get away from fantasy for a minute. And, as we got a new month right over the next hill, I think that might be some changes that I may be making to that old TBR here. But let's get into what am I going to read. Now, I had Disquiet Gods on the schedule. I love Christopher. That's my brother from another mother. And I want to read it. But, man, Sun Eater books are, for me, they're very heavy. They're something where you got to stop and chew your food. It's nothing I can binge through. I know you folks who audio really get through these in a couple days. I can't do that. Like Demon in White took me 3 weeks just because there's so much to digest. So I like to take my time with a Sun Eater book. I just don't think I'm in the right frame of mind for a Sun Eater book right now. It's part recovery, part reading slump, and just me really I want to make sure that I give Sun Eater the time and the love that it deserves. So I don't know if I'm going to do that next. I have no idea. It really just depends on how I feel when I finish Priest of Lies. So I'm thinking I might do something small and something off genre, kind of like maybe like Snowbound by Blake Crouch. That's one I got coming up here pretty soon. I might move it to a thriller or something light, maybe, just to kind of try to get my mojo back a little bit, because I am really struggling right now. And I feel like if I'm in a reading slump and I try to hit something with Christopher's amazing prose, it's just going to melt my brain. I'm not ready for it at the moment. So I think I might actually like put that one off until mid-April or something like that. But I don't know. We'll see. It's just kind of be up in the air here in the next week while I try to get my reading patterns back online, I guess is how I would try to put it. But that's really all I got in the plans, guys. Like I said, Priest of Lies is something that I'm enjoying, but I also don't think I'm going to be reading at the clip that I usually do. The kitchen countertops finally got installed yesterday, though, so that's cool. If you guys have been keeping up my home renovation. So now all we're waiting for is just to finish the plumbing and hook up some electrical, and we are finally done. So that's played into my mood a little bit. I think I did tell you guys a couple weeks ago I was feeling like just frustrated and depressed, and I think it's just because you're basically living like you're camping out in your own house when you don't have your kitchen. It just completely just wrecks your whole life. So if you're ever renovating, I say do a master bathroom or something like that. Don't do the kitchen. It's just would not recommend it. How about this week on the channel, guys? I had a couple of things here. I did my new series that I want to begin in 2025. Now, what this is, because a lot of people are like, dude, it's first quarter 2024. What are you doing? I do this video every year in March. It's where I first say, okay, these are kind of the nominees for what I plan to start next year. I'm not going to, there are series I want to read, but I will not have time in 2024. So that year. So I always say, this is a kind of planning ahead for the next year. And it kind of gives me a way to get some feedback. Have you guys tell me what you think about some of those. Listen to some of you guys' recommendations, something maybe that wasn't on my radar. Because every year I'll put out that video. And then when I do my permanent ink video in November, it's where I narrow those down to the ones I will be starting next year. There's always some series that I've got on there that was never in this video because you guys recommended it. So I do read all the comments. Those might not respond to every single one of them, but when I tell you guys that sounds interesting, I'm going to add it to my Goodreads. I usually do look it up, and I'm very excited to find new series always. But I think it's always fun to be that person who's always looking forward to the next series, because there's so many great series that I do want to read. And this year I'm kind of focusing on, okay, let me start and finish some series, because after, doing Expanse and Realm of the Eldlings last year, I said I need to get some shorter series. And that's why I'm trying to stick to like 3 to 5 book series and say, because I feel like I can polish those off in a year. And that's kind of what I'm sticking to. So that's a video I have fun making every year. And it's longer. Usually I only do 10. I did 20 this year because there are so many things that I feel like I've completed. And now it's just kind of opened up that field. And I don't have any preferences to those, so it's really just going off of feedback and interest and what you guys want to hear me talk about. So please, your feedback is appreciated in that video if you haven't yet. Went back into the multiverse, guys, and while I am taking my break from my great Stephen King reread, and I did start to do some Richard Bachman stuff, which I originally intended not to do until way later, because the reason I intended to do that later is because the Richard Bachman stuff doesn't really tie into the multiverse, so my series was about the multiverse, reviewing the book, and then talking about the connections in the greater multiverse. Unless it's something like seriously retroactive later. Remember, people didn't even know Stephen King was Richard Bachman until the mid-'80s. So when he was writing those books, he wasn't really thinking about the multiverse. But I wanted to talk about The Long Walk, of course, because, guys, that's just an incredible, incredible book. I was a Stephen King veteran of 30-plus years when I read The Long Walk for the first time, and it instantly became a top 10 Stephen King book for me. It's just that special. So being able to talk about that was something I've always wanted to do. And when I said I was going to be doing the Richard Bachman books later, I was kind of sad about that. I was like, man, I really want to talk about why The Long Walk is so amazing. So getting to cut in line, go back on my original plans, and actually talk about some of those Richard Bachman books has been a lot of fun. I'm going to be doing Thinner next month. So I'm excited about it. And then, guys, I will be getting back to reading Stephen King. So I will be getting back to Dreamcatcher. I got to do Dreamcatcher. There's something else after Dreamcatcher, and then there's Dark Tower 6 and 7, and then I'll be able to do my next version of the tier list. So I've had lots of people asking about that, but I told you guys at the end of tier list number 3 that it was going to be a while because I want to make sure that I reread these. But it was just about taking a break from rereads for a while. But as for The Long Walk, guys, it's just an incredible book. Incredible book. And I think it's getting the Pillars of the Earth treatment, where I think it's got hit into the Google search algorithm or something like that, which is great because it's Stephen King reviews on my channel, guys. They are very... Look, the constant readers that are on this channel. They're loyal, and they're always anticipating the next Stephen King video. But there aren't that many of them. It really is. It's a very small portion of my audience. So when a video like that already has like 20,000 views in the first few days, that's unusual for a Stephen King video. But I'm glad that hopefully it's getting a lot more eyes, not only on my channel, but on that book, because I do feel like this is one that only really hardcore Stephen King fans seem to have read. And it really is just that special of a story. And it's even more amazing when you consider he was a teenager when he wrote it. And it's a story that will stick right here with you forever. So I was very, very excited to be able to talk about that. Put out another book trailer. This one was for Red Rising. If you guys don't know what that is, it's something I just put out when I feel like, oh, okay, I don't want 3 or 4 days of silence on the channel. They put out one of these book trailers. They are usually just going to be excerpts for reviews I've done in the past. I've had people ask me would I ever just do just those on their own. Maybe if it's something I feel like I don't have enough to do a full review for, but something that was a passage that was moving or something like that, I could put something like that together. But I think I'd like to get back to doing those trailers / excerpts for my reviews. I will always do them for Stephen King because, Into the Multiverse is it's my flagship. I love it. And I want to make sure that I do those reading excerpts for each one of those videos. But I'd like to get back to doing that for reviews because I said I stopped doing it because reviews have such limited interest in the channel these days. But maybe that can get people excited about them again. I don't know. People have hot takes about those one way or the other. But I always felt like that was kind of what made my reviews a little bit more unique than everyone else's. So I could definitely get back to doing that. I do love doing it, and doing that one for Long Walk was really, really awesome. And of course, the Red Rising one is one of my favorite ones that I've ever made. So lots of fun there. So thank you guys who checked those short little clips out. How about some next week plans, guys? I've been talking about this switching things up, and I'm still trying to finalize what's going to be on my April TBR. Because, like I said, I think I'm going to step away from fantasy for a month and see how that goes. Now, I've got a couple of ideas on there. There are some series that I started that I want to continue, like the Lonesome Dove series, like the Kingsbridge series, like the Matthew Corbett series. So there are things out there outside of fantasy that I want to do. So there's lots of options. But I'm like, is it really good when you're in a reading slump to counter it with a really long book? And all those books I just mentioned are very, very long. But I don't know. I think that there are the little options out there. Now that I'm done with Blackwater, I can introduce some more horror onto the schedule and stuff. So I think there are some options for some horror, some thrillers, some historical fiction. Just basically get away from fantasy for a couple of weeks. And I think maybe that'll make me, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Kind of feel like that. Because this does happen. I think since I started the channel, this is only the second time it's happened this bad, to where I was like, I have no interest in reading fantasy at the moment. And so I think it's good for me to walk away from it for a minute, kind of like build back up my mojo, like I said, and attack it from there. So that April TBR is going to be quite unusual, I think. But, I did give myself the wiggle room this year to be able to do that, to be able to just kind of be a little bit impulsive and read what comes in front of me here. And I'm actually quite excited about what I could potentially pick for April. I just mentioned Blackwater. I'm thinking I'm going to do a review of Blackwater by Michael McDowell this week. I thought that was an absolutely incredible book. It's going to be a Book of the Year contender without a doubt. So I definitely want to give it a review that it deserves, because I've looked around BookTube. There's a few reviews out of it, but it's very, very minimal. There's not very much exposure to this book, and lots of people I've gotten their interest in reading it, and plenty of people have actually started, and they're like, yeah, you're right, it's really good. So I think it's one that it needs more attention, because I feel like if people give it a chance, they're really, really going to like it. And again, you don't even have to like horror to like it, because I said it really is very much just like a family drama. There's just some horror elements going on in the background, and there is, big greasy monsters here and there, but it really is about the characters and the human/non-human elements of the story. And I think that Blackwater definitely deserves some special attention, so I could probably do that sometime next week. Had some people mention it. I didn't mention it last week because I was sick when I made my weekly update, and I just forgot about it. The One Piece collaborations have been canceled, sadly. Myself and Alan and Philip and Murphy, we were really enjoying doing those. I'll just leave it at sometimes I wish fans were as compassionate as they are passionate. Because, I've had really positive experiences with the One Piece fandom, but the comment sections got really, really bad in there, to a point to where one of the people on the panel decided to drop out because they did not like the way they were being treated. And as a group, we got together and talked about it, and we don't reward that. People saying they wanted to vote to have someone taken off of a panel. It just got way too toxic to where we just said that we're just gonna call it, and we'll just talk about it amongst ourselves, in like a group chat or something like that as we go along. Now, Philip and I are going to keep reading it together. That's fun. I love reading series together with Philip because I feel like it's when I talk to Philip about things, I feel like I'm learning something. So I feel like I can be like, hey, sweet pirates and exciting exotic fruits and stuff that give people superpowers, and Philip will tell me about the philosophy of it, and I'll be like, wow, I never really looked at it that way. So we'll continue to do that. I don't know if he and I are going to be doing videos together on it or not. We haven't really talked too much about it. But sadly, the One Piece collaborations have been canceled. But again, I just implore people, just be nice, man. If you aren't enjoying something, just say it out loud. You don't got to type it. I'll leave it at that. But I am very sad. Because I was having a lot of fun with that. So that's pretty much all I have for the book stuff, guys. I got a couple of TV and movie talk things before I go. I just got to say, at the halfway point, Shogun is just spectacular. That and Dune in the same month has just been like, wow, they really can do adaptation really, really well when you have a showrunner that loves and adores and has slavish devotion to the source material. It's not a bad thing. I hear all the time, being slavishly devoted to the source material is a bad thing. And no, it's not. I don't know how that narrative got started. I don't know how you can't give the people what they want. I don't know how that got started, subverting expectations and all that. I don't know how that got popularized. But this just goes to show that very, very popular books are popular for a reason. You don't have to do our own thing on it for it to be really good. And you can see there are slight tweaks and adjustments made to Shogun, and it's just an amazing series anyway, because you can tell everyone who worked on this project was absolutely passionate about it, from the set design to the costumes to the actors to the writers. Everyone was just thrilled to be a part of this production, and that's why it's amazing. It is amazing. It is every bit as good as peak Game of Thrones, guys. It really is just that amazing. But I keep telling people, you have to pay attention. I know in this day and age, everybody loves to pick up their device and scroll while they watch something. Shogun, unless you are fluent in Japanese, I think you need to pay attention, because 90% plus of that dialogue is in Japanese, but it's that riveting of a show that you don't want to take your eyes off of it. I don't believe, because I feel like you'll miss something. So it's just incredibly smart. I feel like they don't worry about having to hold your hand. They're like, you're going to follow the plot one way or the other. And I don't know. I just feel like if you pay attention, you're going to get everything that's going on. I heard some complaints about, the names are really tough to get a hold of, and the political leanings of who's aligned with who and stuff. But no more so than any fantasy series, guys, that you've ever read, I don't think. So Shogun is just amazing. It's a hell of an achievement for FX, and I hope it shows that audiences are hungry for things like this, for period pieces, for really just large, grand scale movie making and television making, just the things that just look incredible on the screen, pouring your soul and your money into it to really make something special. And I don't know if they're going to continue with the Asian saga after this or whatever, but I'm hoping that FX is kind of shown the way that, someone besides HBO can do something this special and it resonates with audiences, So I'm hoping it will make some of these other ones that just make these cheap, they're just making content just for content's sake. And sometimes it's not just about the money, because, look, Rings of Power threw a lot of money at it. Wheel of Time threw a lot of money at it. Didn't fix the problem. So, again, hire the right people and, have the author or their estate involved, and things usually turn out pretty good. So, that's my suggestion. If you guys haven't watched Shogun yet, do so. It's going to be 10 episodes. First 5 already done. You can binge through those really quick. It is a highly bingeable show, I do believe. It's actually quite tough doing a weekly watch of it, but I've been just that excited about it. My wife, who hasn't read the book, absolutely loves it as well. So there is that. House of the Dragon, it got 2 trailers, for the greens and the blacks. I thought it was a really neat idea. It's going to be premiering in June, it looks like. And it looks awesome. It looks awesome. I thought season 1 was spectacular. Having read Fire and Blood, knowing what's coming in season 2, it's going to challenge the viewers, I think, a lot, because, guys, let's just say there's a red wedding kind of moment in that story that's going to completely floor you. And I hope that the showrunners don't wimp out. I don't think they will. I remember the very first episode of House of the Dragon, you have them like cutting someone's scrotum off. And I'm like, they're definitely not going to be worried about offending anybody. So it's very, very upsetting what is coming, but it's going to work so well on screen if they do it right. And I'm super excited about it. I think that House of the Dragon is probably the show I am the most excited to see come back this summer. And it's just going to be great television. I am kind of concerned that Mikhail Sapopchik left the show, but I do think that Ryan Condal, who is very much wants to do right by George, is very, very sharp and intelligent, and he knows and loves this world. So I'm so confident that it's going to be just an experience. There's these rumors going on right now that Aaron Taylor Johnson is a new James Bond, but he's like denying it. The Sun, they usually get some scoops every once in a while. That's what they're saying. They're saying the role has been presented to him, but he has actually denied it. But I don't know. I don't know how. I mean, look, at least he's British. But I guess I think he's like 33 years old, so they'd definitely be doing a Bond Year Zero kind of thing, going with a younger James Bond, kind of just starting at the beginning. And I know they want to get a younger actor, which they should. They need to stop getting these guys that are 50, to play James Bond and then wanting to do it for a decade. I think starting young could be great, showing him how he grows as an agent. And I don't know if they ever want to go to kind of like a serialized thing, or if they want to just make it just each movie kind of stand on its own. I feel like James Bond can work either way. But guys, I'm a huge, huge James Bond fan. I mean, I've watched every movie countless times, even the bad ones. I'm always going to be interested in that. I wonder if the people in charge are still making James Bond movies for James Bond fans. I'll just leave it at that, because that can be quite a controversial topic to get into. But I mean, Aaron Taylor Johnson, look, I mean, I've been watching him since he played Kick-Ass, and it's kind of funny to see that, he's grown to a role now where he could probably nail a role like this. But I think you could do worse. You could definitely do worse with that casting. And like I said, at least he's British. That's actually something that you would think that would be a requirement for a James Bond actor, but has not been the case more than once. But hey, sure. I'd give it a shot for sure. I think I'd be quite interested to see how they walk forward with him, because I think he's a pretty good actor. He's definitely got the look. I think he can probably pull off suave and regal pretty well. Maybe he can go to that kind of darkness that Timothy Dalton kind of had, which I still think you guys that just clown Timothy Dalton's run as Bond, you're wrong. Timothy Dalton did all the stuff that you guys love about Daniel Craig. He did it first. Just as a viewing audience, we weren't ready for that kind of James Bond yet. Go back and watch those movies now, man. They are really, really good. So, yeah, I would be in support of it, sure. But I don't know. I need to see more about what their goal is for James Bond going forward. They just want to completely do something different. They just want to kind of rehash. What do they want to do with James Bond? So I need to know a little more. But as for just a casting, if this does turn out to be true, it's fine with me. He seems like he could probably pull off the role. And I am in support of them going with a younger Bond if they want to tie this to one actor for like 10 to 15 years and like 5 or 6 movies. I definitely think get a younger actor and he can grow with the role. So, guys, that was my week. We're going to go look at some stuff now to get some flooring done for this. With kitchen, they just completely rip up your floor. And we said, so obviously now that this part's close to done, we can actually look at getting some flooring done. Because right now, it's just a lot of handsomely placed throw rugs. So we aren't like actually walking on some concrete. So, guys, that was my week. I'd love to know what you are into. What are you watching? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you playing? There are no wrong answers. So drop in the comments, guys, and let me know. And have yourselves an awesome, awesome weekend.